Aloha fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the A Hero is Born 2-pack from the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. So this was the Hasbro Pulsecon exclusive for Transformers in 2022, and it is a 2-pack of Orion Pax and Alpha Trion. Really beautiful artwork here on the front of the box. I really like this quite a bit. If we take a look at the top, you can see that the picture kind of extends around to the top. We have the Transformers Legacy logo there, really big on the top. Close-up of Orion Pax on this side. Close-up of Alpha Trion on this side. The picture, again, extending down there onto the bottom. If we spin it around to the back, we see some nice product shots for Alpha Trion and Orion Pax, both in robot mode and vehicle mode. And then we also get this little Vector Sigma piece as well that comes with Vector Sigma itself and the key to Vector Sigma, which is really, really cool. So I like this a lot. I'm really excited for this one. I'm going to go ahead, get it out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here's everything you get in the set, and I have to say, this is a really nice looking set. Some of the joints on mine are a little loose, but ultimately not that problematic. But just having everything together here like this, they both look really, really cool. The Vector Sigma accessory is pretty neat. I guess we'll get into that real quick. You can see that he can kind of hold the key. It's very loose in the hand, though, and there's really no way for Orion to hold it because there's no peg on it or anything like that. But we'll just take a look at this quick to get out of the way, because honestly, it doesn't do much. But you have your giant disco ball that is Vector Sigma. Has a little spot here on the bottom to peg it into the stand, and the stand comes in two pieces. You can tell that there is kind of a cross connection here, and then there's a circular connection on this side, so you can't peg it in upside down. But it's just two pieces, the stand and the base, and you just pop it right in there, very secure, and then you can just go ahead and peg him onto the top. Again, very secure, not going anywhere. None of these pieces are falling down. And then you have the key to Vector Sigma, which is very nicely detailed, honestly. I think they did a pretty good job with this. And then all you do is just kind of like pop it in here. It doesn't like peg all the way in. There is some kind of little tab or something inside. You can kind of see it right there to kind of stop it. I'm kind of worried that that's going to pop the paint off over time, but you're really only supposed to insert it about that much. And it works. It's cool. Not much to it, but it is a fun little accessory. I actually really like the inclusion of this. Would definitely make for some good display options and things like that. You know, put this in the middle and then put your Stunticons and your aerial bots on the other side. Something like that I think would be really cool. So, gonna go ahead and put that off to the side, as that's pretty much all that that does. But here we have Alpha Trion and Orion Pax. Alpha Trion is obviously, I think it's Trion and Orion. That's why it's kind of tripping me up here. But Alpha Trion is a repaint/remold of Studio Series 86 Scourge. And then Orion Pax is a repaint/remold of Studio Series 86 Cup. And I'll do some comparisons to their originals later on. But they both look really cool. I mean, just having them here, I think they both look really, really good. I don't have a ton of Orion Pax figures, I have to be honest. Every time they do one of those, I kind of just am not that interested. But I think they did a really, really nice job with this one here. Let's go ahead. We'll look at him first. We'll put Alpha Trion off to the side here for a moment. So, he looks good. I think they did a really nice job. Like, all the detailing and molding here on the chest. All those paint applications look really sharp. I think the head sculpt looks fantastic. Really nice job there. He does come with the same accessories as Cup, so he's got this little gun and then the little thing that gives out the Energon goodies. I mean, you know, they just throw them in because, of course, they come with this mold, so they're on the sprue. But there's not really much to talk about with these, so I'm just going to go ahead and put them off to the side. But yeah, overall, I think he looks really good. The only thing I don't get, he's got these really dark blue fists. And maybe that's supposed to be like foreshadowing for Prime, and it does kind of match the little bit of dark blue he has down here. But I just feel like the fists should be the same shade of blue as the legs and the abdomen and the head. Just my personal preference. I just think having those really dark blue fists stands out a little bit. And it's been a minute, so maybe I have to go back and check the animation model. Maybe he really did have darker fists. But I just feel like it would fit a little bit better if it was the same shade of blue as everywhere else on the figure. But again, maybe I'm wrong in that regard. Maybe that is animation accurate and I just don't remember. So I just thought that was a little weird. But other than that, he looks pretty good. I mean, he does still have Cup's ability to come apart into pieces. So if you want to utilize that before he gets rebuilt into Prime, you absolutely could. Head is on a ball joint, so you can do side to side. You can look up, you can look down a little bit, tilt a little bit side to side as well. You do have a rotation here at the shoulder as well as a hinge. Now, unfortunately, mine like to come apart there. That's obviously supposed to peg in, and it does, but it just doesn't seem to want to stay in as well as I'd like. He's got a waist swivel here, kick very far forward, kick very far back, very far out to the side, so great range of motion in the hips there. It's got that thigh swivel, 90 degrees there in the knee, and then he does have ankle tilt down here. I mean, it's the same figure as Cup, so it's got the same articulation as Cup. But I do really like this repaint and remold. I think they did a really nice job. I really, really like that head sculpt. I think that looks really, really, really good. So let's go ahead. Let's bring in Cup since we're talking about him. So you can see the extensive remold they did here on the chest. That looks very different. I don't think there's anything different going on in the waist. They just painted it differently. And I think they did do some remolding here. You can definitely tell in the kneecap area. But you can see that the feet are the same. The heads are obviously different. I think the arms are the same. Yeah, I think the arms are the same there. Well, it looks like there might be some remolding here in the forearm, because Cup's got these little bits here that you can tell are definitely different. And then I think the backs are the same. But yeah, pretty extensive amount of remolding, which I think is really cool. And it's neat to see them next to each other. You can really point out all the differences. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, Cup wants to fall over, that's fine. You can't see, he's off camera, he fell over. But yeah, he looks really good. Let's go ahead, let's get into his transformation. So if you're familiar with Studio Series 86 Cup, he is going to transform exactly the same way. So I'll go through this fairly quickly here. We're going to start with the head, and we are going to rotate that 180 degrees. Then we can come around here to the back and flip open this backpack section. We're going to want to go ahead and unpeg the arms, which are now surprisingly not coming unpegged. Pop open when you don't want them to. Stay really tightly connected when you do want them to. That makes total sense. So anyway, flip the arms up here like this. These pieces here that were in the back are going to flip around for the front wheels. So flip them around like so. You're going to take the arms, and they have this extra hinge piece here that's going to unhook and flip around. And then you want to keep the arms down here like this. So bring this around, flip this extra hinge piece. There we go. And then keep the arms pointed down. You're going to bring this piece up. You're going to disconnect here kind of at the abdomen and start to bring this around and down. And then this will flip around like so, so that you can bring this over top of the head and connect that in there like that. And then you'll bring these pieces in to fill up this hole in the sides. And then you want to bring the arms and have them still hang down here like so. Come around to the feet, and you can bring them forward so that you can tuck this part all the way in like so. You're going to flip down the whole front of the leg. You're going to bend it at this hinge, and then it's going to connect back up and peg in again. So we're going to come down to the foot and also fold in the heel, or actually the toes. There is no heel. Flip this, put this back in like so, and then you want to kind of drop these up so that the hands kind of pass in between the two legs. This section here is going to unpeg from the side and then come up and fill this in, and then that's going to hook into this section up here. Come along now, hook in. There we go. And then that's all going to form together like so. Do the same thing over here on this side. This comes up, this clicks in here, and all of this goes into position like that. And then you have the hands still here underneath. You're going to flip these sections, unpeg them, and flip them down. And you can see that they will connect together with these little tabs here. So this will come around like so and clip in together like this. And I promise it will do it. There we go. And then at this point, you're going to take the hands, and there are these two big tabs right there, and they will actually peg into the fists. Just like that. And there you go. There is Orion Pax fully transformed into his vehicle mode. So here is the vehicle mode. I think it looks pretty good. A lot of blue and red, but I think they did a pretty good job of kind of blending the colors together. I think that works. I like it quite a bit. You can go ahead and store the weapons in. They peg into these little spots right here. They have tabs on the side. So you just tab that in there, and then if you want, you can tab in the other one over here on this side. But yeah, overall, I think it's a really successful vehicle mode. I like it quite a bit. I liked it as Cup. I like it again as Orion Pax. I think the color scheme works well, and it definitely gives the feel of like a Cybertronian alt mode, which I think makes a lot of sense. So I think it looks pretty great. Next up, we have Alpha Trion, and he looks great. I think they did a fantastic job. The color scheme is great. I love the giant Autobot symbol there in the abdomen. Very, very accurate to the original cartoon. I think they did a really nice job with that. And it doesn't make you feel like you're immediately looking at Scourge, because obviously it's the Scourge mold used as Alpha Trion. And he had that kind of like big cape thing going on in the cartoon. And he also had kind of hands that were not necessarily traditional hands, like he had kind of fingernails on his hands, just like Scourge did. So I feel like it's a really brilliant reuse of the mold, and they did such a nice job, you know, molding like the shoulder pads and everything. He looks really cartoon accurate. The color scheme's great. I think they did a really nice job with it. Unfortunately, mine has some fairly loose joints, nothing significantly problematic, but we have a hinge here and a swivel in the shoulder. The bicep swivel on mine's a little loose. We got 90 degrees there in the elbow. We got a wrist swivel. The head on mine is really loose, unfortunately. The ball joint can look side to side, can look down ever so slightly, look up ever so slightly. You have a little bit of side to side as well. But yeah, mine's just, it's just kind of really loose, which is a bummer. We do have a waist swivel as well. You have decent amount of articulation here in the hips. Really kick far out to the side pretty well. Kick decently far forward. A little bit back, but because of the stuff in the back gets in the way. Got a thigh swivel there. 90 degrees in the knees. My knee joints are nice and tight, but you can kind of see how like that fell. Like it's just a little loose there in the shoulder on this side. The bicep over here is kind of loose. And then you've got some ankle tilt here. So I don't know if it's just mold fatigue because they've done this as Scourge. They did it as like the toy accurate color scheme Scourge and called that like Sweep Henchman. And now we're getting this. So it might just be a little bit of mold fatigue. But he still looks great. I mean, he really does. Hopefully it's just a QC thing. And if you guys get one, yours will have a little bit tighter joints. And it's not so problematic that like, oh, I can't even get him to stand or he won't hold any kind of poses. Like, that's not the case. It's just that some of the joints are a little loose. Let's go ahead and compare him here with Scourge so we can see what they remolded. I would say the legs are pretty much exact. Well, I would say in the thigh area, you can see they remolded a little bit. But from the knees down, I think they're the same. I think the hands are pretty much the same. There he goes. The shoulders are definitely remolded. The chest has definitely been remolded, especially with the high collar. And then I would say just these wing pieces here obviously have been remolded. So again, just like with Orion Pax, there's a fair amount of remolding, and they did a really nice job with it. I just wish I didn't have such loose joints, but again, they're not the worst I've ever seen. They're just not super solid. Oh, and obviously here in the abdomen too, there's been really the whole chest has been remolded. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I think they did a really nice job. The head sculpt is fantastic, honestly. I mean, they nailed that with the The mustache and the beard and the eyes and the paint, everything just looks really, really solid. They did a really nice job with this. And I love the color scheme. It's perfect. It's really cartoon accurate. I had no trouble getting him to stand earlier. There we go. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into his transformation. So there's really no difference between him and Scourge's transformation. So if you've handled Studio Series 86 Scourge, it's going to be very similar. Going to straighten out the legs and peg them into each other like so. You can fold up the back heels and then the toes like so. You're going to take the entire arm, and you can kind of see the seam here down the side that is going to pop down to put the arm all the way down. The little knob here that's molded into the waist is going to fit into kind of like his armpit there. So that's going to come down and rest in there. And then there's a tab here on the side of his leg that will tab into this spot here on the side of his forearm. So bring this in and tab that on there like so. Going to do the same thing over on this side. So tab that in just like that. Then we're going to come around here to the wing pieces. We can flip these down like so. And these will kind of clip on like that. You can flip this out. This piece will flip down. And that kind of forms the whole side of the vehicle mode. Bring this in. Clip that on there. Flip that up like so. Then we're going to lift up this section here. And this is going to come around and go around the head. So it kind of just perfectly, you can see that it perfectly form fits to the head, just like that. We are going to pop these sections out. Previously, that little spot was tabbed into that, so you just want to pop these out all the way to the side. Then we're going to lift this section up, and that will allow you to bring this whole section back. We're going to straighten this out, and then there are two tab spots here. They're going to tab onto the legs right here and here. So bring this down and tab that into place. And then you can kind of just push this down. This will actually tab into the back. So just push that down, push all these down. Then this section will pop out. It's a little difficult sometimes to get your fingernail in there to pop this section out. So you might have to use a weapon or something to kind of flip that out. There we go. This is going to flip around, and again, you can see that there's a little tab right there, which is going to peg into that. So bring that down, and then this is going to flip around and cover up the face. So just make sure all that's tabbed in where it's supposed to be. And then at this point, you're just going to fold these pieces in. Now you have to be a little careful because the high collar here does kind of get in the way. So you kind of have to tilt that in. But then you can just kind of push this all in where it's supposed to go. And then there's also a tab here on the side of this piece that this will tab into right there. So accordion that in. Make sure everything clears like that. Tab that in there. These pieces will all close up just like that. And there we go. There is Alpha Trion's vehicle mode. So it's not too bad. I mean, it's obviously one of the sweeps alt modes, and they didn't have to do too much to change it up. I do like how this kind of perfectly hides the face. I don't really mind the head crest poking out. I think that worked out pretty well. And then these pieces, these little like cape pieces just hanging out down here is not the best. I wish that was a little bit more form-fitting, but it's really not that big of a deal. All of this holds together pretty well. Just kind of like a little Cybertronian transport, I guess. I don't think we ever saw Alpha Trion actually transform on the show. I don't know that he had an alt mode, to be honest. He was pretty old, so he might have been from a class of robots before they learned to transform. I feel like this pegged in a lot better last time, but for the most part, I think it holds together pretty well. If you want to take the weapon and peg it in here to the side, of course you can do that. But yeah, overall, it just kind of looks like a sweep, but it's Alpha Trion. But it transforms well, holds together pretty well. I think they did a nice job with it. Probably not a figure that I'll transform that often. He'll probably stay in robot mode all the time for my personal display, but it's neat that he can do it, and I think they did it pretty successfully. I think this is a really fun set. I think both of these figures really look good. They did a lot of nice extensive retooling for these figures, really to make these previous molds into who they needed them to be for these characters. I mean, you can still recognize where they came from, but they really did a lot to make them into the characters they needed them to be. The paint applications look great. I mean, aesthetically, I think these two are really, really nice. Now, mine do have a few QC issues. I'm hoping it's not a widespread problem with the set. But I showed you guys, you know, some of the loose joints I have over here on Alpha Trion. And with Orion Pax, for the most part, he's pretty fine. But I have a couple of, like, panels and things that don't necessarily want to stay pegged in where they're supposed to. Especially over here, like this one. I keep trying to peg this in, and it keeps popping out. The shin here sometimes pops out, which is kind of a problem. It's not a huge issue. It's just kind of annoying. Like, eventually I can usually push hard enough and they'll peg in and stay for long enough, but just little things like that. And I'm thinking it might just be mold fatigue. You know, the fourth time, whatever it's been since they've used these molds again. But they did a really nice job with them, like I said. Aesthetically, I think they're fantastic. Mine have a few minor QC issues, but I really don't think it's going to stop me from enjoying the set. There's nothing so problematic that, you know, there's no noodly joints. There's nothing that bad. I also really like the little Vector Sigma. I know it's not much and a lot of people don't care about it, but I think it's fun. I think they did a nice little job. It's a very basic little accessory, but I think it definitely adds value to the set and will definitely be something you could use in some nice displays to kind of just give value to your display and you know, kind of make the display, you know, have accessories to make it kind of part of the world, if that makes sense. I just think it's a very simple little accessory, but it can definitely add a lot of value. So I think this is a fun set. I definitely recommend checking it out. It was the Hasbro Pulsecon exclusive for 2022. So at this point, if they don't have any more available on their site, I'm guessing you might have to go to eBay. Although some online retailers may have got some, like BBTS, Entertainment Earth, things like that. I'm not 100% sure. But I would definitely check around to those kind of online retailers if you're trying to check this one out. And then I guess I'd check eBay as like a last resort, but prices on eBay are always such a toss-up. You never know if they're going to be ridiculously inflated or not. But if you have availability to get this and it's not too expensive, I definitely recommend checking it out. I think they did a really nice job with it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.